because we were working together under such intense circumstances because of the pandemic and wanting to get this movie made, that was in its own way. It's kind of boot camp and drew us all closer together because this was it. Like it was us, our families, and the crew.
Congratulations on an incredible film, truly touching. I'd love to know from both of you what it was about Jesse Brown's story that made you want to be a part of it. And Joe, if you want to go first.
Well, this is a story I didn't know about. And I think that was first and foremost was the most mind-blowing thing. I mean, reading the book, reading the script, and kind of just the first thing I said to JD when we had our initial Zoom meeting, I was just like, oh, so I don't know if I should be mad at like my school teachers or like who, but why have I not heard this true story that exists and this story that needs to be told? And I'm just, wiping tears away being like, I would love to be a part of something like this because to just be in the room to showcase this epic, you don't even call it a war film. You don't call it a love story. It's like kind of everything. And I think that's what's so amazing about how it came together. It's
a no-brainer sort of situation. You get that story, a true story like that. They talk about like truth being stranger than fiction, and that's true, but it's also more often than not, it's so much more beautiful than anything that we could come up with. And this is one of those moments where the reality of who these men really were is just so unbelievably beautiful that you want to be a part of something that special, even if it's just peripherally, even if it's just, 50 some odd years later, 70 years later, I guess, as a dressing up in your little costume, like to be close to that kind of power and beauty and sacrifice is, and that's why we do what we do. It's the most human of stories. And, we, as artists, want to connect to human beings, whether it's through our acting or music or whatever it is, like we're just trying to connect to other people and to have a story that hits so close, so powerfully, so beautifully, and is real. Come on, like what else are you going to do?
I know. I hadn't heard of the story either. And I was like sobbing in the theater. It was insane. So my husband was actually in the United States Navy. And so a lot of what I saw and heard was like familiar.
Thank you for sharing him with us.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course. So what was like the training and preparation like in making it so accurate?
I think nothing obviously compared to what real service people out there would go through for training. But spending a lot of time with these planes, I mean, getting to know them, becoming friends with them. Yeah. I think like trying our best in the short amount of time to understand even what it would kind of be like behind one of these things and speak to pilots. I mean, for me personally, I was lucky enough to speak to some of Marty Good's family and hearing audio of him before he passed and just stuff like that. That's really resourceful and trying to do, my best to do that justice, but also find my own thing in it. And I think it was just also great to be surrounded with so many of these on set. Even we had a lot of coaches, you could call them, even for a carrier deck to make sure the flags are correct. And making sure that the call signs are correct and everything that's the way the room looks is correct. Yeah, the prop master has him in his ear, and it's like making sure, because we know who is going to see this film, and you don't want anybody going, that's not how
that's not what we do,
especially for a period piece film that's like this.
Yeah, the preparation, and I mean, sadly, because we were so deep in COVID when we were shooting it, we didn't have the shave opportunities to, like you've heard about in other sort of war movies that will remain unnamed, didn't have the opportunity to kind of go and do all of the,
actually go on a carrier deck for a month.
Yeah, do like the fun rah-rah stuff, you know what I mean? And crawl through the mud and whatever. But on some level, like, I think that because we were working together under such intense circumstances because of the pandemic and wanting to get this movie made, that was in its own way. It's kind of boot camp and drew us all closer together because this was it. Like it was us, our families, and the crew. Like that was it. That was the only people we were seeing, and it was pretty, we got to know each other pretty good.
I love it. Well, again, congratulations on an incredible film. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much.